Hi guys, welcome back to another vlog. My name is Ted with Ted's Vlogs, and I'm here in the southern Philippines just enjoying the day. One thing I wanted to talk about today is how to sustain life here. This is kind of a common theme and thread, but I guess one thing that I'm learning along the way is that the sooner you can move away from work that requires you to be online for a particular period of time, the better. And what I mean by that is, if you're involved with online tutoring or teaching, it does help pay for the bills. It does help pay the bills. It does help sustain you here. Usually it could be potentially more than enough, but the issue is here the lack of sustained connections, sustained connectivity, also the lack of consistent power and electricity. So one of the big struggles that you find a lot of people here with is, or at least a lot of expats that are working online, is being connected, staying online. And when you work for example, like an online tutoring industry, there are consequences that you actually pay if you miss classes. Like sometimes they'll ban you from taking on new classes or adding new students, and it can really harm you economically. And so you basically pay an economic price until maybe you lose your job. So that said, one of the directions I'm personally trying to take is to move away from online teaching and to move into the direction of online creativity and creating items that are marketable online and doing that kind of work. And I'm not going to go into the details about that because I haven't turn that into an income source yet. I'm still working on that. I'm still figuring those kinds of things out right now. Now thankfully, like if you are somebody who is in their early 40s or late 30s and worked really hard and then came here with a savings and enough cushion, these kinds of hiccups won't affect you as much as if you're just coming here and working right away. So if you're coming here and working right away, and you're dependent on that income, it can be very stressful. In fact, I mean, to be honest with you, it stresses me out when the power goes out or the internet goes down and then there's nothing I can do to save my classes or to contact my students. I do use online data to send them messages. Sorry, there's a lot of noise all of a sudden. I do send them messages, as needed if the internet goes down, through online data or through mobile data, but that's not enough to actually connect to class and host classes, unfortunately. So those are the struggles that I actually have. The other thing, of course, is your credibility as a teacher goes down substantially too, right? So like, what kind of teacher are you if you can't keep the power on or if you can't keep the internet running? And most of the students that I have are very forgiving, but a lot of them, or not a lot of them, but quite a few of them aren't. And I actually have lost some really good students along the way because I wasn't able to stay connected for one reason or another. And that's challenging. So I mean, that's one of the biggest issues that we have here in the Philippines is keeping the power on and keeping the internet running. Now, when it comes to internet connectivity, if the internet goes down, there's nothing really that you can do about it unless you have like a backup, another router, in which case you're spending money on 2 routers or 3 different internet providers per month, which can become costly if you let that add up over the course of a year or so. With the power outages though, there are steps that you can take. Actually, I have a YouTube short on that, and that's about just buying a UPS. You can buy a universal power system, which is basically a fancy way of saying like a battery backup for your router, and that will provide you anywhere between 2 and 5 hours of backup of electric backup for your router. So you can basically be teaching your classes. There'll be no power in the house, but you've got your battery from your laptop and you have your router backed up with the UPS. Now, if the day goes on and on without power, that's quite the issue for you, because eventually your laptop will also quit on you, and unless you have another laptop ready, you'll find yourself in another load of trouble. So in general, those are the struggles. The solutions are you have to move away from trading your time, whether that's in person or online, for money. And what I mean by that is your live time. Like when you have to be in a place you're required to be in a place and to actually be connected, that can be problematic here. Now, if it wasn't a problem here, if, for example, if internet connectivity and if the power wasn't an issue here, I could actually, potentially work a lot more. I actually hold myself back from taking on more classes only because of my fear that there won't be connectivity. Because as you can see, it's a beautiful day today. It actually rained really, really, really hard for, I don't know, about a half an hour. I don't know if there's power at home right now. I don't know if the internet's connected. I'm going to find out when I get home. And these are the issues that I have. So, unfortunately, like heavy rains knock the power out. Excessive heat knocks the power out, knocks the internet out. Sometimes a fiber cable is clipped or something like this, according to my internet provider, knocking the power out for like 25 hours. I mean, it's a huge loss, guys, especially if you have 10 students lined up for the day, or if it's 25 hours, you might have to apologize to 14 students and tell them that you're sorry you can't connect online. It's pretty much absurd. So what we should be doing as expats is finding other ways to generate income online that won't require us to be in front of a computer screen at a certain time. It's just too inconsistent here. That said, like, you can continue to tutor, and I still am. I am still working online as an English tutor, but it's very problematic only because of that issue. If it wasn't problematic, like I said, I could probably teach like 8 classes a day or 8 hours of teaching a day. But because of that issue that I have, I really, really hold myself back. And as you can see, the wind's actually picking up, so who knows what the afternoon weather will bring. That said, guys, if you have made it here, and if you are currently working as an expat here, share your ideas if you want. I know that a lot of these things are very competitive. A lot of the online work can be very competitive. But if there's any direction that you'd recommend, you can always post that here. I know some people do copywriting. I know that some people do content creation for different blogs. One of my colleagues in Saudi Arabia used to write, I think, like 1 blog post per week for a company, and he was making something like $1,000 a month to do that, $1,000 a month to do that, which I found quite amazing. But it's just the luck of having the right connections and knowing where to look for this kind of work, and it's really kind of hard to find those things out. That said, I mean, of course, the upsides here are more than the downsides. So, I mean, you've got healthy food available, you've got your family here, nice weather for me. I don't have to deal with winters, and a nice community to have your children be raised in. And overall, like, the positives far outweigh the negatives. But in terms of income and in terms of generating, monthly income, you need to think about those things very carefully and be prepared. And also, I mean, you should be saving as well. So if you're like, an old guy and you're collecting like some kind of retirement, or what do you call it, like a pension or something, then I guess this doesn't apply to you. But if you are in your late 30s, early 40s, or even in your 20s, and you came here early, then, these are things that you need to consider on your way here. Anyways, y'all, besides that, everything else is going well here. I had a nice durian yesterday because the season is still kind of happening right now. My wife and I were actually talking about like the readiness of durian, and if we think that the farmers might be actually cutting it too early and letting it ripen for a later time, that could actually be the issue that we're having, because we found quite a few durians on the road for sale, but unfortunately most of them are not ready. They're not ready and they're not ripe, and I'm not sure when they'll be ready, because I'm not sure if they ripen the same way that bananas do, and I haven't looked it up online since we had that discussion. They might actually ripen like the way bananas do, like how they're dark green and then they become yellow later, or they may not. I think that they prematurely cut them down here in this region. And I know that like in some places in Indonesia, they actually will set like nets underneath the trees and then just wait for the durian to fall. And sometimes I've also seen people like climb the trees and check each individual durian and see if it's ready, and then if it is, they'll cut it, and if it's not, they just leave it to grow more and to get ripened. That said, guys, everything else is pretty good, and just enjoying the weather and the rain. I do appreciate the rain, actually, because in Saudi Arabia we went months and months and months and months without rain, and that's the issue that I had there, and extreme heat. So coming from a place where it's like, 49 degrees for a huge part of the year, to here, where like the hottest it gets is like 32, sometimes up to 40, depending on who's telling you the temp outside. It's not too bad. So anyways, y'all stay blessed and take care. I'll talk to you for another one. Assalamu alaikum. Bye bye.